Camera 5.
Camera 7, tilt up.
Ready? Roll green.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by the lights. Camera.
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Giorgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber, and I am finally back with another episode of Beyond Wrasslin. And this time, or Wrasslin, I have to make sure I say it with the southern slang, because that's how the name is. But anyways, I figure a good topic for today's episode will be talking about the future of WWE after the Stomping Grounds pay-per-view, because I did watch it. I decided not to review it because I figured enough big channels would be reviewing it. So basically, my idea would be, how can WWE make their product more interesting and more engaging for the fans, the wrestling fans, going forward. So and that's basically what this episode is going to be about, based on the things that happened at that pay-per-view. Hope you all are doing really well today, and I appreciate everyone who's been watching my ASMR videos and all of the other little stuff that I've been doing on here. It's a slow process, but we're getting to where we need to be at on this channel, slowly but surely. And I figured this would be a cool new little perspective that I can do on the pay-per-views, because that's what it is. But so basically, I'm gonna do a quick rundown of the Stomping Grounds pay-per-view, and then I'm going to talk about what I think WWE can do to build off of that and make things better. Because let's be honest, that pay-per-view was a bunch of rematches from Raw, SmackDown, and of course the Saudi Arabia show. And on top of that, we didn't see Finn Balor at that show. I think, and I know he's the Intercontinental Champion, and we didn't see him at the show. So that was kind of different or odd. But basically, Becky Lynch, she started off that show as the defending her women's title against Lacey Evans, which I just don't believe those two should be in the ring anymore. And one of my main criticisms from that match last night was Lacey Evans quickly tapping out of the submission hold that Becky Lynch put in there. Because Becky barely had that move on Lacey Evans before Lacey just quickly tapped out, and I feel like that made Becky Lynch's move look weak. But Becky Lynch, of course, won. She did use the mandible claw, which is Mick Foley's move, which I thought that was cool. And then, of course, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they got them a win last night on that pay-per-view. And I thought that was really cool, because they needed a win, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they really haven't been doing too much as of late. They've got them, WWE has them stuck together in a tag team, and so, I feel like these guys, they should be doing more than just that. So they got to win over the New Day, and let's say New Day New Day can lose some matches and it won't affect them. Then they had Ricochet, he won the US title, which I thought was really cool, because this is his first big, main roster title, and there's no reason why Ricochet shouldn't be a champion on the main roster. But also Samoa Joe has a good claim to that too, because he's had a rough time on the main roster, I will say. He hasn't won the WWE title. Then they gave him the US title, and he's really made that belt seem legit, and he's a legit badass in that regard. And I would love to see these two continue their feud and see where this can go, see how personal they can make it, and how they can keep the fans interested. And which is basically the main theme of this episode, is how can WWE keep the fans interested, after the stomping grounds. And I think, Ricochet, let's say he did lose, but he didn't lose the belt. Like, he lost, like, due to a DQ. They can, like, he can lose the belt probably, I'll at least keep it on him until, like, at least mid-fall. But, with WWE and their booking, sometimes not everyone keeps their belt that long these days. But I can definitely see Samoa Joe and Ricochet having a crazy battle at Extreme Rules, which is coming up on July 14th. And they could do a ladder match, which I would advise against ladder matches, especially when SummerSlam coming up in August. You don't want nobody to get injured, but these two definitely need to have more epic matches. I'm very excited for the future of Ricochet, and hopefully they'll do him right, because we've seen what happens with NXT people. Oh, and another thing I noticed from the Stomping Grounds pay-per-view was we didn't even see the women's tag team championships at all. I don't know if they were on the pre-show or not, but I would like to see those belts, be treated with more respect. Because let's face it, I think, WWE, their creative process with those belts have not been the best. We barely see them defend. We barely see the Iconics defend those titles. There's really no women's tag teams around to really defend those belts against, unless you bring some women up from over the NXT or that Performance Center and bring them up. But honestly, I don't see the point of them having those women's tag team titles around for long, especially if they're just going to just be walking around with them. I mean, and it's cool that women have their own tag team titles in the WWE, but if you're not going to have those belts in high profile feuds that fans care about, you shouldn't have them, So I'm going to give WWE a little time, at least till SummerSlam time, which is in August or fall, August, for SummerSlam, or in the fall. And if we don't see anything new from the women's tag team title, situation, they should definitely drop those. Because fans are not caring about those belts anymore. And see, since we are talking about the women, let's talk about that Bayley and Alexa Bliss match. Bayley got the win. Honestly, I didn't expect, a lot of people didn't expect Bayley to lose, especially because, they had Nikki Cross out there. And I'm pretty sure Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are going to probably have some kind of feud at some point. I can definitely see maybe, they you never know, they might do Bayley versus Alexa Bliss again. I don't think they should, but with Extreme Rules coming up and all these rematches, I would not be surprised if we saw more rematches. And I think that's another thing that's hurting this company right now, is rematches. They need to stop doing that. Or at least, if they gave us feuds that we really care about, then rematches are okay. Because, I remember, Stone Cold and, Triple H, they had a crazy feud that lasted for at least 3 or 4 pay-per-views, if I'm not mistaken. Undertaker and Mankind, or Mick Foley, they had a feud that lasted from 1996, and it kind of just it was crazy in 96. Then it slowed down in 97. Then 98 it picked back up, and they had that crazy Hell in a Cell match. So they had a feud that was out of this world, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Now they had rematches, a whole bunch of false finishes and craziness that happened, which then the feud accumulated at the 1997 Bad Blood pay-per-view, where Undertaker, he almost beat Shawn Michaels, but Kane interfered, so that pretty much ended the whole feud, I think, with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. I know they had a casket match or something. But anyways, the whole point of it is you can do rematches if people care about the people that are in them and the stories. But in WWE's case, they need to stop doing them for right now. They need to find a way to freshen things up. I think bring some. I think bringing some NXT guys over for the for series like pay-per-view, and you could have a main roster versus NXT type of match. You know, you get together some of your best main roster guys and you have them face off against the NXT guys at Survivor Series, and then you could do this great build up where people are coming from each show just invading and beating the hell out of each other. But anyways, then we saw Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. They beat Heavy Machinery for the SmackDown Tag Titles. You know, this is a good position for Daniel Bryan because it allows him to pretty much go and be with his family, that's cool. But I definitely want to see Daniel Bryan in some more big time matches against people like a Ricochet or Samoa Joe or Aleister Black, which we haven't seen Aleister Black. I want to see them use Aleister Black more on TV. He has a cool character. I know they must be, hopefully they're saving him for something big, but who knows. I definitely think Aleister Black should definitely be coming up on the shows more often, and then of course last night we had the Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, and those two kind of had it was an okay match. But honestly, that match shouldn't have happened either. And the thing is, Drew McIntyre lost. Like, this is a guy talking about keeping the fans interested. You can't keep having Drew McIntyre keep losing like this. This dude has lost I don't know how many big matches, especially against Roman Reigns. And if Roman Reigns would have lost that match last night, it wouldn't have hurt him, because let's face it, at some point he will be in the WWE title picture, and most likely he will be winning the WWE title. I don't know if it'll be from Kofi Kingston, and there's this crazy thought that maybe Shane might end up winning the WWE title, which I definitely don't think should happen. And I'm definitely going to get to Shane McMahon's character in a little bit. But back to Drew McIntyre, this guy should be winning big time matches. He should be contending for the US title, not the US title, but the Universal title. He should either be contending for the Universal title. He should be either in the main event, which I think he almost is, I guess. But he should be the Universal Champion right now, man. He should be the Money in the Bank winner. I feel like Drew McIntyre with that Money in the Bank briefcase would be a lot more cooler. I know WWE brought Brock Lesnar back, which still doesn't make any sense, because I guess they still don't have faith in their roster if they have to keep Lesnar around. And but yeah, I think Drew McIntyre definitely deserves more, and hopefully by SummerSlam we can see him facing Seth Rollins, for that Universal title, because he just deserves better in that regard. But as for Roman, I just told you what I think is going to happen with him. And I can see Shane McMahon winning that WWE title. He's going to find a way to do it, because they've been using Shane way too much. And I'm sure you heard a lot of wrestling podcasters talk about that. But he has been he's been on every freaking program. He's been heavily featured throughout the show, and it's just becoming ridiculous, especially when they said that there will be no more authority characters and all of that, which we knew that was a lie. But they should not have Shane so much featured on the show. It makes no sense, and it takes away from time from other people. If you have a 3-hour Raw and you have a 3-hour Raw, and people that should be, getting over with the fans and should be in high profile feuds, they're not in those feuds because you got people that don't deserve those spots taking them up. So I think they need to minimize, Shane McMahon's spot on both shows, and hopefully we will see this whole Shane McMahon business die down after SummerSlam, because I feel like all of this is leading up to a big ending to the story at SummerSlam. I can see that happening. And then, of course, we had the Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin Universal title match, which nobody cares about Corbin's character. And I think that's kind of good for him, because we don't have too many heels where people genuinely just don't like them. And Baron Corbin does have that. And let's face it, if somebody's playing a heel on TV, we're not supposed to like them. We're supposed to be booing them. And Baron Corbin has that. And of course, they put Lacey Evans as the special guest referee, which I guess, that makes sense, because WWE has heavily been featuring and bragging and talking about Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch's relationship, which you already know that can never be too good if they keep harping on it and keep putting it in our faces. I think it's cool that they're dating each other, because hey, wrestlers are gonna date each other. I mean, who are they around the most? They're gonna get with each other eventually. It's just inevitable. But you know what? Looking back, adding Lacey as special guest referee for this match made sense. We saw Becky come out there and destroy her, and I thought that was pretty cool. And but then we saw Lacey. She pretty much low blow Seth Rollins and allowed Baron Corbin to get some moves on him. And I was like, there's no way they let Baron Corbin win that belt in that way without Becky coming out there. And so, with the help of Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins was able to keep his belt. Now, going forward, I can see this happening. This whole storyline with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch and Baron Corbin, I can see them having some mixed tag matches. I can see somehow Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins having another match at Extreme Rules or something, and it could be with some weapons involved. I think they're gonna have a chairs match. I just don't see us not seeing Baron Corbin in that title picture. He's gonna be in there, and this time I think Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin are gonna have a chairs match, and then I guess at SummerSlam, we'll find out what happens next. But yeah, I think they're gonna have a chairs match. I can see that. But other than that, I got a feeling that we may see Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans feuding again in a match. I know a lot of people don't want to see that. I don't. But it definitely seems like this whole feud with Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch is far from over. I think that by SummerSlam, it should be done. But if I had it my way, it would have been done after last night because Lacey lost. But I guarantee they'll find a way to put her back in the title picture. And they need to focus on building some other people up. I can see maybe Nikki Cross getting a title shot later on down the line this year, most likely against Bayley. But I think that may not happen so soon, because I think Sasha Banks will be coming back very soon, most likely around SummerSlam time. And I think we're going to see an epic feud between her and Bayley, where I think Bayley ends up beating either Alexa or Nikki Cross, and then Sasha turns, because let's face it, I think Sasha Banks should be a heel right now. And because there's been a lot of conflicting stories about Sasha Banks' position in the WWE right now, and I think that she would be better off as a heel. Now, will she stay with the company? Most likely she will, because they would have been let her go. They would have treated Sasha Banks kind of like what they did with Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley. But yeah, I think I think Sasha Banks comes back. She wins the SmackDown Women's title. Or she could win the Raw Women's title. But I feel like she should go for that SmackDown Women's title first. Because her and Bayley have such history. And I think that would be an epic way to bring back Sasha Banks. Then you can transition her over to facing Becky. And perhaps, this is my plan, I think they should have Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks in the main event of WrestleMania. Now, I mean, you could do it at the Royal Rumble too. Now, you could do that match there, as well. But I think those two should be in the main event of WrestleMania. Because let's face it, none of the other big time feuds, none of the other feuds that WWE have are really, captivating us. And I feel like Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks characters alone, they're two of the top, most cheered characters almost. There's some couple other ones out there, of course. But, that's what I think. In no way should Becky Lynch be on the opening match of any show. She should be the co-main event or closing the show out. And also we haven't seen AJ Styles as much. I think they're gonna be turning AJ Styles heel. They're gonna put him back together with the club, and I think they're gonna be having this feud with Ricochet. I think that's what's gonna happen. AJ Styles versus Ricochet for the United States title, which I'm okay with that feud as long as they make it interesting. And of course, Braun Strowman. We haven't seen Braun Strowman around much lately, so I would like to think maybe, I don't know what they're gonna do with Braun Strowman. They messed him up so bad. They messed his character up and his position in the WWE main storylines up so badly that you don't know what to do with him. He's pretty much damaged goods right now. I mean, I guess you could have him feud with Drew McIntyre maybe. He's already feuded with Lashley, which I thought they had a good match at the Saudi Arabia show. But I think, have Braun feud with Drew McIntyre, and then maybe somehow you can put him in the Universal title, which I feel like that could be very possible. And let's face it, they need to get rid of this whole brand split draft thing or superstar shakeup, because we got Raw and SmackDown people all over the place. They need to get rid of that idea. It's not working anymore. Just acknowledge it and just move on and just have them on both shows. I think that would really make things a lot better. But because that idea is not working. And I heard that WWE is gonna be using less commercials during big matches, which I think that's really good. But they also need to make changes to their creative. Vince McMahon needs to be more open to better ideas and start listening to the fans more. I think we should know what we want to see. We've seen with the success of AEW on what can happen when you listen to the fans. And I feel like if WWE takes the time to do that, they will be a whole lot better off, and you'll have a lot more people happy. And I'm not saying you have to listen to everything that the fans say, because sometimes certain wrestling fans have some dumb ideas, and they don't really think from a logical standpoint on certain things, because they're so emotionally invested in certain characters. So, but you could at least take in some of the ideas that fans have into consideration and kind of combine them with your own to create a better show. And I think if WWE can do that and work on the presentation with the show, give us some better design sets for Raw and SmackDown, or with these original new pay-per-views, have a different design, a staging set, so at least they'll feel unique and give us something to look forward to. Give us a crazy cool intro like we used to have back in the Raw is War days. It's really not that easy. I mean, that's difficult. Because I do think it can be easy with the amount of money and resources that WWE has. But definitely put more effort and creativity into your characters, your storylines, and your staging areas. You know, your presentation on TV. Like, you know, dim the lights down a little bit so that the action is focused on in the ring instead of what the crowd is doing. You know. And I think if WWE can do that, they will be able to keep their fans like myself, because I still like them. Because I love wrestling in general. That's the only reason I still watch, and there's still hope there, you know. But if they can do that, they will keep the wrestling fans more than interested, you know, going forward, way past SummerSlam. I feel like they have the ability to do so. It's just up to them to want to do it. But anyways, with that being said, I thank you all for listening to this episode of Beyond Wrestling. It's great to have the show back. And if there's any other topics you want me to discuss in a lengthy episode, and I will definitely do that. And you can listen to this while you're driving or while you're working out or whatever it is. But anyways, hope you all have a blissful day. Make sure you have the notification bells checked. That way, you know, you don't miss anything, and I will have some more stuff coming very, very soon. Until next time, y'all be safe.